We would like to welcome back SinglePoint Inc., which trades on the OTCQB under the symbol SING. The company offers products and services specifically in the solar market and creating healthier, safer buildings through indoor air quality and safety improvements. The company has recently made a few announcements since the last presentation, and today, CEO Wil Ralston is here to share some additional insight into the progress. Welcome back, Wil.
Well, thanks for having us back on, and we appreciate the opportunity to share with everybody at the Emerging Growth Conference today and provide an update. Just going to jump right into it here, and just for those of you who may be new to what SinglePoint is doing, we've been focusing on executing a really focused acquisition strategy of solar companies throughout the nation. These companies have a historical success in operations. They have a great footprint, great reputation, the ability to expand within their markets, and ultimately deliver consistent profitability. We've also made some tuck-in acquisitions that are accretive to that both operate in the safety and indoor environment improvement of buildings, improvement in these building spaces, specifically within that, again, indoor air quality and building safety. And we've really made some significant headway in this space and selected these sectors because of how important it is, one, for our everyday lives as we look to move towards more renewable, sustainable solutions for our energy production and energy security, and also where we spend 90% of our time, at home, indoors, at work, at school. So through these acquisitions, we've really put a foothold into these sectors, and overall, there's huge federal government backing in these sectors. We've got $121 billion that's been provided by the federal government for K through 12 schools to improve indoor air quality. The IRA has recently passed, which has extended tax credits in the solar sector for the next 10 years and increased the value of those credits. To date, we've made these couple acquisitions in the solar space and the indoor air quality space through Boston Solar, as well as through Box Pure Air. And we've seen strong organic growth over this last year, and we expect that to continue, throughout 2023 and into the future. In addition to this, we've been able to make an investment into a company called FPS, which is Frontline Power Solutions. And that's an energy services company, which we've made a few announcements since our last presentation here at Emerging Growth, which I want to shed a little bit more light on, because that company really helps us provide new traction into the small commercial solar energy sector, because we're actually selling them their utility power as well. So now we can actually take these companies and buildings that we're supplying utility power to, and also provide them with a plan that allows them to be fully vertical in their power supply and generation, offsetting their bills, but also helping create redundancy and safety and security within their power supplies. We'll continue to make those acquisitions. We'll continue to grow organically throughout 2023 and beyond. We're really excited for what it looks like a promising, future for SinglePoint, because we've been able to organically grow these businesses in some of the biggest market headwinds that we've faced within solar and within the market in general. So excited to share these updates, and I know we've got questions flowing in. So I'm going to bring back in Anna here to answer some questions so that we can dive in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, so some questions from our audience. Can you provide an update on your listing process?
Yeah, we are continuing to push, on achieving that ultimate goal of becoming a listed company on a major exchange. As many have seen, and we originally filed our S1 registration on October 7th. A few days after that, there's been some different things that actually happened at some of these exchanges that ultimately we believe is going to be a benefit for shareholders, for investors, for companies. But in the microcap space, nobody listed in October. Only one listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and only two happened through November. So between just kind of the market and some different regulation type things changing at the actual, at NASDAQ and NYSE, again, I think there's going to be a benefit for the investors, for the market, for the company. But we've seen that kind of slow down the process at which is the pieces of the process that are out of our control. But every day we have a great team around us. We continue to make progress towards doing that. The next part for us is because during that time, we had Q3 financials come out. Now we have annuals come out. We need to update and refile that S1 with our annual financials, which are going to be very strong for the year. We're, through these acquisitions, we've been excited to see, where this company is growing. But again, strong teams, both internally and outside, are working on this process every single day in order to make that achievement.
Well, there hasn't really been much information shared about Boston Solar. So can you share some insights into the solar business?
Absolutely. Boston Solar, that was a key acquisition for us, made back in April of 2022. They have continued to perform. Overall, the solar market grew about 40% last year is what we saw on the residential side, just the solar market in general. And we've seen Boston Solar, I believe they've outpaced that growth. So we're really excited about 2023 for them as well. On a standalone business side, that entity itself, is driving a significant amount of revenue for the company and has really fundamentally changed the trajectory of SinglePoint and really establishing that revenue base and driving towards profitability. But the annuals will come out very shortly on that, which we are excited to share with shareholders. And ultimately, solar's here to stay. We've seen some of the largest hurdles in the industry over this last year, from the tariffs to freezing new imports, and the industry still grew in the toughest times in its history. And now we have the IRA, which is a historical investment in climate change initiatives from the federal government, over $369 billion towards renewables and energy efficiency and things like that. But the important key for our residential small commercial side as well is it extended what were expiring tax credits for the next 10 years. And it actually increased the amount of those credits. So again, solar, we're excited about it. The consolidation strategy, which we're approaching through our roll-up and acquisition, is really needed in the industry because it's so fragmented and rules and regulations in different states are so variable. So that all just leads to us really being able to grow through acquisition, especially when, the market conditions start to change and become a little bit more favorable for these acquisitions. We have a really strong pipeline of businesses that are interested in working together, being acquired, and we're excited for the growth of that.
That's great news. You also recently announced BPA Solutions will be listed on buy board. So what does that mean for the company?
Yeah, BPA Solutions has been, an acquisition that we made back in 21 that ultimately has been working through federal contracts that take a lot of time to complete, to get through the pipeline. We saw increased success at getting the approvals, becoming on buy board, for example. Specifically to buy board, that's actually essentially what that does is it allows federal buildings, schools, a whole bunch of different places throughout Texas specifically right now. We're now a pre-vetted vendor. So now it's a much simpler process for these places to basically point, click, and buy our products. They don't have to go through the typical process of saying, can we use this person? Is it approved? Because with a lot of federal agencies and schools, you have to go through that process. Well, we've completed it. We've successfully, on April 1st, we'll actually be listed on buy board. So that should open up a lot of opportunity within the Texas market for Box Pure Air and BPA Solutions. In addition to that, we've got the $5 million grant award out of California that was awarded in the second half of 2022, but we expect to see a lot of those orders and a lot of that results to come out through 2023. So we see Box Pure Air as really an internal kind of X factor, right? There's massive contracts out there and opportunity. New York, for example, I use it as an example. They purchased $70 million of air purifiers from one company. So those RFPs, those RFQs are out there. We have our names in those mixes. Interestingly enough, those air purifiers actually got pulled out of the schools, so they may be looking for a new supplier, and hopefully we can be, in the mix for that. Again, air purification, massively backed, $121 billion for schools, $350 billion for commercial buildings to help improve their indoor air quality, their energy efficiency, and that trend is continuing to move in a positive direction. So as a result of that, we expect, our revenue, operational results, and market penetration, overall to increase over the coming years.
Good answer. So how will SinglePoint maneuver this recessive macro environment we're in?
Yeah, there's no doubt that, it's been a tough environment out there. We're seeing that, not only in our own company's market cap and value, but, every entity out there, from our peers and our comps out there in the market are also experiencing that. the good news is we've acquired great businesses that have provided fundamentals for us to continue to grow upon within these times, so that when we're able to, when market conditions start to change, we'll have a platform to continue to build within. So it's a great question. And the answer is we're going to continue, controlling what we can control, pulling the levers, and continue to grow our business, which we've shown we can do during these times. And as the winds start to change, that will only, I believe, lead to us, our market cap, and others being more accurately reflected in the market.
Canton wants you to update shareholders on the plan to uplist to NASDAQ.
Again, that was kind of one of the first questions we covered, and just as a quick reiteration, we are, making the filings that we need to do, updating our financials, filing our K. That's first and foremost. And if you rewind a little bit, you'll see the different processes that go into place in this and kind of what happened since October when we first originally filed our S1. But ultimately, we're continuing to push on that every single day. And we will continue to. We have great advisors around us that do this daily. It's their business to help companies get uplisted. And we've got a great counsel, great internal team. And again, we are doing everything that we can do to make sure that's a success. And there's some outside factors that are out of our control, like timing of filing, our annuals, and ensuring that all gets done. Those are the things we can do. What we need to go through on the outside is getting the proper approvals and everything else. So I believe we're really pushing forward as hard and fast as we can. I would believe that nothing has happened as fast as we would have loved it to, and certain economic events, back stemming from late September, early October have delayed that a little bit, but we are pushing very quickly on it.
So what do you believe has caused the company's share price to be at an all-time low despite record revenues?
I think back to your original question, these macroeconomic events have really put pressure on all public companies and on all market cap and everything like that. If you were to look at our current enterprise value right now versus if you were to take a look at the equity value, there's a discrepancy there, and it's disjointed. So between macroeconomic events, between just the markets in general, micro caps, we've got it's tough in the micro cap and small cap space. One of our great partners and investors, he constantly lets us know, our industry, we're kind of the canaries in the coal mine, right? We get hit the hardest and the fastest, but we're always the first to come back. So we're kind of indicators within that space. So again, we look for our companies to continue to build, and we'll continue to build the fundamentals and the foundation of our companies as we have, and as we've shown we can execute on that. And as the market headwinds start to change and become tailwinds for us, I believe we'll see a springboard in the effect of what that's going to do in the market for us.
Mark Mann wants to know, how many acquisitions do you see the company making in 2023?
We expect to continue pressing really hard. We've got great opportunities in our pipeline that are very positive, for the company and accretive as we continue to push on the vertical integration and growth of the business. Ultimately, that's going to be driven by, as we've just discussed here, what are the macroeconomic conditions? The hard part of the macroeconomic conditions is our market cap has suffered, which makes these things harder to complete, harder to do. But it's also brought down valuations of these companies that can be accretive to us. So we're going to continue to push and find the right acquisitions. We are working with multiple right now, going through negotiation, due diligence, making sure that we can align on a strategy and a synergy. And the great news is deals are still going to happen. Deals are still being discussed. What the key fundamental will be to get it done is being able to properly finance that's accretive to the company and the shareholders and everything else that goes with that.
Can you provide an estimated 2023 revenue projection?
I can't right now. Just legally wise, I can't jump into that piece of the pie. But what we can talk about is continuing to build on that organic growth. And I think as people see the annual financials come out, you'll be able to really understand. And I don't think that shareholders or anybody has had the benefit of seeing the consistent growth. They've seen, you've seen the quarter over quarter because we made our Boston Solar acquisition back in April, but this will be our first annual financial statement with that acquisition completed. And again, we'll only be recognizing April 21st through the end of the year. So we're missing that first quarter in a few days, but it's still, impressive, in my opinion, what our team has been able to do. And, I hope that resonates with everybody out there that, that is watching and following along, that we're going to be showcasing that execution and everything we've done throughout 2022. And I'm very confident we'll be only increasing that during 2023 and beyond.
Last question for you, Wil, from David. Will there be another reverse split coming soon?
It all depends on what the market conditions are at the time of listing. That's going to be the key. I mean, there are requirements for NASDAQ. We're going to try to make that accretive as possible. But as we've seen, these things can turn on a dime. They certainly have right now in the market headwinds. Everybody's market cap has suffered. But as we saw at the beginning of 2022, market caps can significantly increase, in a matter of months. So we'll see when the time comes for that. And, we're going to do our best to make sure that this is as accretive and beneficial for shareholders as it can possibly be.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
I'll just reiterate, there's no doubt that this company on NASDAQ or on a listed exchange is in a much better position and will be for the long future than being, listed where it's at right now.
Wonderful. Well, we appreciate your time and glad that you came back with this important update.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having us on again. I really appreciate it. Again, for more information on the company, visit singlepoint.com, and our ticker symbol is SING. Thanks again.
Thanks, Wil. And thank you all for watching today. It's been a great conference. In just a second, you're going to be redirected to our registration page for our next conference in 2 weeks. On behalf of all of us at Emerging Growth, we want to thank all of our presenters and all of our attendees for making this such a great success. Remember, a complete replay of the conference is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Emerging Growth Conference. Also, follow us on Twitter @EmergingGrowthC. I'm Anna Berry. On behalf of myself and our team, we wish you a happy, healthy, and successful rest of your week, and we'll see you on again here soon.